Good for him. Great guy. Bridget Phillipson is with us this morning, Education Secretary. You've got some new plans you want to tell us about.
Yes, today we're setting out landmark legislation in a new children's bill to make sure that we're keeping all children safe. The state has failed far too many children for far too long, and the measures today will make sure that schools, police and children's social care work together much more effectively to protect children and to keep them safe. And as a part of that, we'll be introducing a register of children not in school so that we know where children are, and that where there are serious concerns, where there's child protection investigations that are underway or child protection proceedings, parents will have to seek the permission of a local council before they can home educate their children. You know, no more lessons learned, no more words. We need to get on and act to make sure that we keep children safe in our country.
And I'm guessing what happened to poor little Sara Sharif. Presumably, if this does work as you would hope, then that sort of thing just won't happen in future.
I mean, the case of Sara Sharif is unspeakable in terms of the brutality that such a beautiful, bright young girl experienced in her short life, and also at the hands of those who are meant to love her and keep her safe. And it's right they feel the full force of the law. There will always, sadly, be violent, abusive, manipulative people who will do harm to children. And sadly, there are limits to what can be done to absolutely always stop that happening. But there is much more that we can do. And the legislation today, I think, is a seminal moment in children's safeguarding. And we'll do a lot to make sure that we are, all of us, working together to keep children safe.
Talk to me about this spying scandal. Has it set back our relations with China?
We've been clear as a new government that we will cooperate with China where it is in Britain's strategic national interest. We will compete, and that will apply to areas of business and trading relationships too. And we will always challenge, because our number one priority as a government is Britain's national interest, our security at home and public safety too. And the approach that Keir Starmer has taken and his engagement with the President and David Lammy as Foreign Secretary is entirely consistent with a pragmatic but long-term strategic approach to China.
OK, I get that, but how can we trust them when we regularly find alleged spies close to the highest levels of government and the royals?
I mean, where it comes to individual cases, you'll understand I wouldn't want to engage in commenting on the specifics. Yeah. But the wider question, of course, is it's right that we absolutely seek to protect Britain's national interest, both at home and abroad. And that does involve taking action where required against individuals who might present a threat to national security.
You're aware of this foreign influence register that Tom Tugendhat says is ready to go. It's box fresh. He sorted it out. You just need to put it into law. Are you going to do that?
We do intend to bring forward measures, as the Minister set out yesterday in the House of Commons, Dan Jarvis. I would just point out, however, that the last government did have the opportunity to do so and didn't. So whilst I recognise the challenge that is presented by Tom Tugendhat, we are looking very closely at it. And as the Minister Dan Jarvis said yesterday, we will be setting out further steps soon.
It would put China top of the list, yet your leader and your chancellor seem to want to keep them close.
We've got our national interests to think about, and that does involve having dialogue with China where it serves Britain's national interests. There will be areas that do require some element of cooperation, but we do so on a pragmatic basis with a clear understanding about the wider strategic challenge that is presented.
OK. Do you acknowledge that China is this country's most prominent security threat?
I'm not going to rank or grade countries in order. I do recognise that there is a need to both cooperate and challenge the Chinese government. But where it's in our national interest on matters of international stability, on other areas too, we will have a dialogue with China. That is right, I think, is what the British people would expect. But our number one priority will be to make sure that at home and abroad, we act to secure Britain's national interest. OK, and should that dialogue continue to include people like Prince Andrew, who's embarrassed the country? It's a long-standing tradition that politicians don't engage in commentary on the royal family and that the royal family don't offer commentary on politics. Tempting as it is, I'm not going to break that this morning in your programme. OK. The alleged spy supposedly helped a British private school with their expansion plans in China. Would it be appropriate for the government to release that school's name? Again, I'm very reluctant to comment on specifics of individual cases, but your viewers can be assured that the Home Secretary will look carefully at all aspects of this case. Why don't you just say what the school is? I'm not in a position to do so, I'm afraid. Do you know who it is? I'm not in a position to answer that question.
I know who it is, and I can't say unless you do.
Well,
we are where we are. Okay.
That's how it is.
Okay. A Politico poll says you've tied with the Conservatives on 26%. Ipsos says 61% of Brits are dissatisfied with the Prime Minister.
We've had to make some tough choices as a new government to stabilise the economy and to get Britain back on track. We don't resile from those. We know it's been a challenge. But what I'm talking to you about today is the difference that we will make to transform children's life chances. So, yes, there are tough choices. And with that, you do run the risk of unpopularity.
You told us some porkies as well, not you, but, we were told by the Chancellor that there wouldn't be any increased taxes on working people.
We also, unfortunately, didn't know that there was a £22 billion black hole in the public finances left behind by the Conservatives. And in the budget, the Chancellor...
added to that. We can do this, can't we?
We can do this. But the fundamental principle is we have sought to stabilise the economy, to get Britain back on track and to invest in our public services, our health services and schools through that budget process. And that has required us to take decisions, for example, around national insurance contributions where it comes to employers. But the wider impact that we are seeking to make every day, so take education, for example, how you break that link between a child's background and their future success, how we make sure that children arrive at school ready to learn, expanding childcare opportunities, putting in place more support early on for families. There is a lot that we are getting on and doing. The next general election is a good while off. We will
hope?
Well, I'm sure it is. And within that time, we will seek to get on and deliver what the British people voted for, which was change, and we will stand on our record at the next election. Polls come and go. They go up and down. That's just the nature of these things.
OK, final thought. Report suggests that the EU wants to have access to our fishing waters and bring in a youth mobility scheme. Something that is a good idea or a bad idea?
Again, where it comes to the specifics of ongoing discussion that might take place, I'm not going to offer a running commentary on individual measures. We are clear that we want a better relationship with the EU where it serves British interests and where it allows for our businesses to overcome some of the hurdles, the barriers that were put in place through the Brexit deal negotiated by the last government.
I'm just hearing that Humza Yousaf, the former SNP leader, is going to step down as an MSP. Thought on that?
Obviously, I'm just hearing
I've only just heard it through my ear.
For the first time. I wish him and his family the very best for the future if that's the decision he's made to step away from politics.
OK, and I wish you the very best for your birthday on Thursday.
And a happy birthday to you.
Oh, thank you very much. It's good to see you. Thank you.